Part of what I want to help you understand is not only neuromarketing and neurosales, but you have to neuromarket and neurosell yourself and get your brain to work, okay, in concert with you and your vision and your goals. When you design all of your initial marketing around one ideal client profile, then another, then what you can do is create targeted messaging, and you'll understand in just a little bit why that's critical for the human brain. All right. So first thing is identify your client profile. Then once you know who she or he or they are as a group, possibly, then you create your marketing messages, your communication, whether it's an elevator pitch, when somebody asks you, what do you do? Your main hook for that person of what is it that's going to capture her or his attention? What is your USP, unique selling proposition in the marketplace? So you start building your brand. Then you create what is the killer promise, not the average so-so ho-hum promise. What is the killer promise that you can share with them that's going to get them to want to buy from you instead of your competition? And here is something to consider. People do not buy your products or services. People buy the benefit of your products or services. So at the deeper level of psychology, why are you here? Well, I want to learn how to grow, my business. I want to be a better CEO. I want to make more money. Well, that might be a benefit, but what's the benefit of that? The reason you are all here is you want more predictable income, isn't it? So that you can have more freedom. Isn't that right? You want more peace of mind. You want less stress. You want a better life. You want to have more choices. You don't want to be as stressed out so you can enjoy what you're doing. You don't want to work so hard on your business that maybe you should go be working at McDonald's instead because you'll make more money there, right? So you joined the Business Breakthrough Challenge, yes, to learn how to generate more leads, to close more sales. I get that. But the real reason you did that is because you are moving away from some things you don't want and hopefully moving towards what you do want. Is that accurate? You're moving away from not having predictability, not having the cash flow you want, not having the money or the time to hire or to do the things that you want so that you can get to why you started this business, to help more people, to make more money, to have more freedom, to have money for your retirement. Every human brain works the exact same way. We do more to avoid pain and to move away from what we don't want than we do to go towards what we do want. So if that's how the human brain works, which you will understand a little bit more today, then we better create all of our marketing messaging to meet somebody's brain and the way it operates. And then every one of your marketing has to have a call of action that's appropriate for the stage that the prospect is in. So if somebody is in the trust and rapport building stage, you don't say, do you want to buy? That's like going into a bar, meeting, locking eyes with somebody that is attractive to you. And that person walks up to you and says, hey, you're beautiful. Do you want to get married? You're handsome. Do you want to get married? You go, oh, wow. Up until that point, it was perfect. So your call to action has to match, okay, where they are in the stages of selling and marketing. And then for those who do not buy, you have to create a follow-up plan. Why? All the money is in the follow-up. Yes, there is money in the initial sale if you can make it, but if you can't make it and you don't have a follow-up plan, then you are using all your time, energy, and attention to create connection, but not to sustain it past the connection point. And by the way, I'm not just going to tell you about this. I'm going to show you how to do all of this stuff. Does that make sense? I'm giving you a framework of what you need to understand. Now, do you know what most business owners do? They have a product or service. They don't focus on who their ideal client is. And then they just create some haphazard communication and it doesn't work. Why? Because it doesn't resonate with how people's brains work at the stage. So then and only then do you choose now, where are the best sales and marketing channels for me to find the ideal client so I can take the right communication, the right message, hook, promise, and insert, whether it's my headline, my offer, whatever it is that I'm going to be offering, I have to match it with the best sales and marketing channel for that person. All right. And then you create your strategies for that channel, and then you create your tactics. All right. So we find our ideal client profile. We determine the best communication messaging for them. We create all of our communication strategies. So if we're face-to-face, we know what to say. If somebody says, what do you do? If we're advertising, if we're networking, if we're on a Zoom call, if we're on a community, we have the language patterns to meet and greet and connect with the ideal client profile and how they process information. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? There is a science to doing this. And when you do it right, it's effortless, not effortless, but effortless. It's stress less. But in the absence of having this syntax, especially understanding how that works, then you are not going to be able to sell as much as you can and help as many people as you can. So let me make sure we understand something. A channel is something like Facebook, your local newspaper, Instagram, YouTube. That's a channel. Okay. Direct response, okay, is a strategy. So if you choose strategies is what you can do. Tactics are how specifically you want to do them. So I could do, okay, a Facebook ad campaign, and my tactics would be to get people to sign up, for a challenge, at a certain price, and maybe offer a 2-for-1 if I wanted to. So we develop channels, strategies, and then tactics. Does that make sense? And I'll go deeper into this, but you want to understand the syntax here, all right, of how all this works, right? So when we think about this in a slightly different way, we start to develop what is known as a sales process. And the sales process that you all have to be thinking about, or making sure that somebody on your team is thinking about this, all right, is how am I generating leads or prospects today and this week, right? Because the lifeblood of every business is lead generation. So you have to solve that problem first. But it doesn't make sense to solve that problem unless you know what channel you're going to use, what strategies you're going to use, what tactics you're going to use, and what's the best marketing messaging for that person. All right. So the first thing I like to do is let's show you what does success look like. And we're going to break it down. So part one is we have to create lead generation systems and processes. And you should create those based on your knowledge, your skills, and your financial or non-financial abilities. So it doesn't make sense for me to teach you television marketing if you don't have the knowledge, skills, or the team or the finances to do that. So your specific lead generation strategies may be different than mine, but you have to develop a strategy that creates predictability. And then you have to make sure that you pre-qualify people before you give them any of your time and attention, right? So you don't waste time and money, right? So there are different ways to qualify, either in advance or if you do consultative selling, to qualify before you even get on a phone call or a Zoom call with people. All this can be thought through in advance and a process created. And then you have the conversion point. And the conversion point is the point where you can ask for the offer. you can ask for the order, and that is called a call to action. And where possible, you want to create an irresistible offer, at least to get that first client to buy from you versus your competition. Do you know why? A person who spends even $1 with you, $1 will likely be worth 8 to 12 times more money than somebody who just looks and doesn't buy. 8 to 12 times more money. The most expensive sale you're going to make is the first sale. The most expensive sale you're usually going to make is the first sale, because you have to build trust, you have to build rapport, you have to educate. So we want to create irresistible offers. I created this program. I could charge $1,000 for it, but I lowered the price point to $47. I didn't want to give it away for free because it has enormous value. I want to reduce to $47, or the VIP is an extra $97. And you will see that I will give you more in this program than you've probably received in programs you've paid $1,000 for. Why? Because I know if I can over deliver, I like to over promise and over deliver. Screw this under promise and over deliver. No, over promise and over deliver. That's how you build a brand. The greatest opportunity to allow people to buy more of your products or services are at the initial point of purchase. People buy emotionally, they justify logically, right? People buy emotionally and justify logically. So at the point of purchase, at the cash register, okay, online, offline, if they buy X, they are X% more likely to buy Y and then possibly Z. So you create products that either give people a greater experience, such as the VIP experience, or is an accelerator or an accentuator of what it is that they bought, right? I recently went into a store to buy a shirt, and the guy said to me, by the way, there's a beautiful belt that goes great with that shirt, and there's socks that match the shirt. Would you like me to show them to you? Well, guess what? I bought the shirt, the belt, and the socks, and I didn't go into the store for the belt and the socks. And I spent just as much money on the belt and the socks as I did for the shirt. So you need to think about, at the point of purchase, what can I offer them that makes their experience better? And then the next best time to offer somebody the next product or service is after they've consumed what you've already sold them, or you have accelerators or accentuators for that. Part of what I want to help you understand is not only neuromarketing and neurosales, but you have to neuromarket and neurosell yourself and get your brain to work, okay, in concert with you and your vision and your goals. So the first thing we do, and what's going to incorporate today's homework that we're going to look at in the community, is you have to start with your vision, your goals, and your big why. So what I want to help you understand is, when you have a vision for your company that is clear, you're actually using this Einstein part of the brain to create the vision using deductive reasoning and your occipital lobe, one of the biggest part of your brain. And so when you activate that part of your brain, and you give your brain some goals of what you're going to achieve, whether it's in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, a year, and you activate the limbic part of your brain, the emotional part of your brain, of why must you achieve it? Why must you achieve your goals? And the reason you have to do this is you and I have 50,000 thoughts a day. Now, many of those thoughts are negative. Many of those thoughts are trying to keep you safe. Many of those thoughts are old memories coming to the forefront of what might happen if you fail, what might happen if you lose money, what might happen if, and you'll see that in a moment, and how it relates to your prospects. But also, you are going to have obstacles. You're going to have mental obstacles, and you are going to have obstacles in the marketplace. If your big why isn't bigger than the obstacles win. So we have to create leverage neurologically in order for us to be bigger than the obstacles. And I will be showing you what those obstacles are and how to get over them. So the first part of building your business, having a breakthrough, is I want you to create a vision that is so clear that if somebody read it, they would know exactly what you are looking to build. Like an architect handing off plans to a contractor knows exactly what the architect wants to build. You need to create a vision for your business upon completion. You don't have to know all the how yet, but you have to get clear on the vision so your left prefrontal cortex can actually go to work for you when you're not even thinking about it. There's the Einstein part of the brain, all right, that is working consistently to figure out how can I. There's another part of the brain you're going to discover called the Frankenstein's monster, I call it, that's trying to figure out why it won't work, what can happen that could go wrong. And there's this gas and brake that happens all the time, neurologically and biologically, that you have to overcome, all right? So that's right, Ingrid, Frankie, we call him Frankly. So step number one of all of this is you start with your vision, your goals, and your big why. Step number two, which I just showed you, is you then develop your perfect client avatar. Step number three is you develop the right marketing for that person. Step number four is your core marketing and sales message, your promise, etc. Step five, we create irresistible offers with upsells, downsells, and cross-sells where appropriate. Step number six, mapping out an end-to-end sales process. Step number seven, you identify the channels. Number eight is you measure what's working and what doesn't. When we were doing marketing for this specific event, we had a variety of ads and even landing pages, okay, pages that people went to find out more information, and we were measuring which page works better with which message. Now, here's what I can tell you. One of our pages outperformed two other ones by 100%. One of our pages outperformed another page. So we want to measure what's working and what doesn't. And that goes to number 9, is you have to know your numbers, right? You have to know your numbers. You have to know how much time things are taking you. And you have to know, okay, what is working and what isn't. And then you're ready for optimizing and scale. These are the steps that you need. If you miss one of these steps or you have them in the wrong order, that's like having the wrong combination to a safe. This is the order in which you need to be doing your marketing and selling, all right? Anything that is out of this syntax just doesn't work as well, all right? And then you can optimize and scale. What is this thing that we all own? It's an electromagnetic switching station, right? It allows light in through the eyes, allows sound in through the ears. We have our tactile senses to send an electrical signal to our brain, which creates electricity and chemical reactions. And so when we understand that when people are watching, when people are reading, when people are engaged, we are creating electrical and chemical reactions in their brain, right? Like fundamentally, get rid of my face and my eyes and my hair and my skin and even my skull. And this is what you see, right? This thing is a biocomputer that is processing information against a hierarchy of where it pays attention and uses energy. So when we understand how that thing works, ours and prospects, do you think it's possible for us to have the edge by creating specific messages that this thing is actually geared to pay attention to? Of course. If it's true that our brain is focusing on survival and safety first, avoidance of pain or discomfort second, energy conservation third, then gaining of pleasure or reward fourth, if we create our marketing to meet the way that information comes through the eyes or through the ears when we're reading or seeing, and goes into the thalamus, the relay station for the brain to be sent to the proper place for processing. When we understand neuromarketing and neuroselling, we understand how to activate the cells that create the electrical and chemical reactions that turn on certain networks or circuits that gets processed from a bottom up versus top down. Now we are understanding how we can be better marketers. When we are focusing a lot of our intention on survival, if you happen to have a product or service that helps people with safety, physical safety, financial safety, emotional safety, mental safety, spiritual safety, their marketing that you can be doing appeals to that part of their brain, which will light up like a Christmas tree if you're in that type of a product or service, okay? So Darren, you got it. So then the second layer of this is, does your product or service somehow, some way help people avoid or get rid of, reduce, eliminate any of the pain or discomfort that they're feeling right now? Okay, that might be you. So your marketing needs to connect with them at the pain, fear, frustration, irritation before you connect with them at the gain level of what they want. Does that make sense? So even though you have a product that might help them look and feel better and amazing and blah, 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 if you don't connect with them at the pain point, you are not connecting with their brain at what they are experiencing and feeling right now. Now, understand that this organism called your brain has a nervous system with a sympathetic and a parasympathetic trigger. Sympathetic is the fight, flight, or freeze reactive system. Parasympathetic is the calm to respond system. I call it the Frankenstein brain or the Einstein brain that are behind me. Our brain is using 20 to 25% of all of our calories, and it is regulating, okay, blood flow, regulating sugar, regulating salt, regulating the autonomic nervous system. It is focusing an enormous amount of energy on just regulation of life. Then it's focusing on the survival, obviously, and then avoidance of pain. So if your offer, if your system, if your process requires them to try to think and figure it out, and you haven't laid out the foundation of trust and rapport first, educational, before you say, hey, would you like to buy my X? Their brain's going to say, this takes too much energy for me to understand. I'm out of here. Now you have like billionths of a second to do this, right? Billionths of a second to trigger these circuits in the brain. And they either go yes or no, it's binary. Yes, move forward, no, don't. Boom, 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 nanoseconds. So your marketing has to be a precision model that, yes, you can test to see which works well. In the absence of doing it this way, it's just harder. And this is just a skill that you learn, right? This is just a skill that you learn, all right? And so then once we've understood how this works, then we can move them towards the reward center, the hope, the anticipation of a better future, the anticipation of feeling better, looking better, having more sex, having more food, traveling more, enjoying life more. But if we meet humans at their basic needs first, in the order that our brains process information, then we are able to do marketing and selling better. And if our goal is to help people, why not help people the way it's easy to help them? Inside your brain and inside your prospect's brain, there is a highly reactive automatic sensor, All right, the amygdala is the part of the brain that regulates emotions and other things as well. But we are focusing on moving away from real or imagined danger, pain, or discomfort. And this part of our brain that I call Frankenstein's monster is always in this state. Now, I want you to think about this. I want you to think of your brain, and I want you to think of yourself as the conductor, like an orchestra leader. All good? That's your CEO, the orchestra leader. And you have different members of your orchestra or band, and your job is to be aware of what they're doing and to direct them to either quiet down, a little bit less of you, Frankie, a little bit more of you, Einstein. I need a little bit more of the motivational. I need a little bit less of the hype, okay? Your job is to understand that your prospect's brain, okay, is doing a deletion and distortion decision-making process against everything what if negative. How many of you decided to be part of the Business Breakthrough Challenge and you thought to yourself, what if it sucks? What if I waste my time? What if I waste my money? What if it doesn't apply to me? How many of you naturally went there, right? You naturally went there. Like, my business is different. I'm different, right? Every one of you did this. I know that. So if you know, okay, how people are going to behave naturally, and you take that into consideration in your marketing. So here's what I say. It's possible that this will suck and you won't learn one thing here. And it's possible that you're going to have breakthrough after breakthrough of understanding what you need to learn. Either way, make the decision to be part of this program. I'll take all the risk, and there's 100% money back guarantee. Now, do you think I just quieted Frankie's brain, saying, okay, now there isn't any risk on my part. I'll try it out. I'll put my finger in the water or my foot in the water. And if not for me, I'll just email the office and get my money back. No risk. Shut down Frankie right away. So you have to understand, how does your prospect think? And the way your prospect is thinking, more than we're thinking about what are the benefits and the gain, we're also thinking, what if I make the wrong decision? What if it doesn't work for me? What if it takes too long? What if it's too complex? What if we're looking at what if negative. This is how a human brain thinks, as a way to do number 1 and 2 really well. Avoidance of pain, suffering, survival, etc. before we look at gain. So all marketing should understand that this is what your prospects are thinking. All good marketing, all good salespeople will understand the dialogue and the emotion that is naturally going to happen in their prospects' brains and hearts. And they're going to naturally be able to push that aside and show them how this is going to be risk-free for you, right? That is good salesmanship. Marketing is just good salesmanship in print or in video or in other mediums, right? And when that Frankenstein brain is activated, we can actually see, okay, in the human brain, circuits turning on, the fear center, the sympathetic nervous system turning on. We can measure in the blood cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, which is the fight, flight, or freeze neurochemical and reaction. And we also can see that blood flow falls away, moves away from the thinking, imagination centers to the fear centers, just in case you need to escape or get away. We can see it. So our job is, yes, to activate the Frankenstein brain, meet them there, quiet it down, and then lead them to using their imagination, deductive reasoning brain after we have met them at their point of pain, fear, frustration, uncertainty, doubt, etc. Does that make sense? This turns marketing on its ass, or Assaraf. All right. It turns marketing in an opposite direction. So we don't want to be afraid of activating the Frankenstein brain, but what we want to do is understand it's already activated. So we might as well meet them there and then lead them okay, to a better solution. And so when their Frankenstein brain is activated, right, that's what causes anxiety and stress. That's what causes fear, lack of control, hyper focus on negative, hesitation, uncertainty. They don't buy. You hear things like, well, let me think about it. Let me wait and see. If somebody is in that stage, okay, then we haven't done our job as good marketers and salespeople. This is the natural state of the buying brain. As much as you think that people buy for gain, they buy to move away from real or imagined pain or discomfort first. When we activate Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monsters, I call it, we want them to, we want to activate their inner Einstein. And Frankenstein reacts automatically. Frankenstein brain reacts automatically at the level of our patterns. So we always react the same way under stress or fear or uncertainty or doubt until we are trained to respond differently. So that's just the human condition. So what we want to do is meet them there, calm them down so we could teach them to respond versus react. Reacting is the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, boom, instantaneous reaction. Response is the parasympathetic nervous system called calm to respond. So how do we calm down? We address their pains, fears, frustrations, irritations, meet it head on, acknowledge it, and then we lead them to feeling safe with your product or service as the obvious choice for them to trust and to work with. And when we do that, that helps them become more logical than emotion after, okay, we have activated that instinctual and emotional part of their brain. Now, we want them to be in an emotional state when they buy, but there is this logical part of the brain that says, okay, do I feel safe here? Does this make sense? Will this work? Will this work for me? How long will it take? What if it doesn't? That's in every buyer's head. And this is being processed in billions of seconds, right? Billions of seconds. So you're getting, and I said to you about 75 minutes, right? So when Einstein's activated, right? Now you're in a curious state. Curiosity activates neuroplasticity. Now, when you're more certain, are you going to move forward or move away? Now, when you're more open to listen, are you more likely to engage or put the block on? Now, when you have curiosity and certainty and you're more open, are you more courageous or less? Now, if the marketing has done a good job in shifting their perception shift, so that they could be rational about a decision versus automatic, that causes them to feel empowered. And this is when somebody takes inspired action. Neuromarketing and neurosales is not teaching you how to avoid the pains and fears and frustrations, irritations. It's teaching you how to connect there and lead them to, all right, a logical and emotional decision that they want to move towards. Because we want to feel good. We want the reward, but we have to feel safe first. Hey, this is John, and if you liked that video, watch the next video because it is packed with things that you can do right now to achieve success way faster than ever before.